Get started. We have a lot of material to go through. But first of all, it's just this whole getting started. I mean, the series is called Creative Job Search. How much more creative do we have to get during this COVID-19? We are having to do stay at home, first of all, working on our laptops in the kitchen. I had a lady I did a mock interview with the other day, and she was in the bathroom in her basement so that she couldn't hear the other noise of the kids at home and the dogs barking and things like that. So we really have to get creative. What we're here to do, even though we're closed to the public still, which, trust me, that's not the way we want to be. We want to be able to see you in person and help you. But right now, we do things online, over the telephone. All we can do is help you get started and give you the tools that you need to succeed. That's what we're here for. But now we just really need to get the attention of the employers now more than ever. I mean, employers have so much on their minds right now. We need to make it as easy for them as we can because they're worried about, do they have enough masks? Do they have enough hand sanitizer? Do they need gloves to clean the door handles and doorknobs and things like that? Is the ventilation system in the building okay to have people come back? They have a lot on their minds right now, and things are changing daily. As we know, restaurants can now have a few more people come in and things like that. They can be open an hour later. So everything is changing. Obviously, job loss is difficult, and it really impacts so many different parts of our lives. But for us to try and stay positive and have a positive outlook, obviously no one asked for COVID-19 to come into our world. So we can't really be, too terribly upset about that, but try and be positive. I know it's frustrating. But that positive attitude is really critical to your success because it's a decision that you can make every day. And it's really a lot easier to go look for a job when you have a positive attitude than when you have your crabby pants on and know you're never going to get a job, things like that. We want to be positive. We want to stay good. And what we want to do is to set a game plan for our next career move, for our next training, for that next occupation. Whether it's in the same industry, if you can stay in your same industry, that's great. If there's a way we can help you add on to that, maybe with some computer classes or something, be sure and let us know. And we're going to talk about how to research companies and research other opportunities out there for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, as I said, it's stressful. It affects every part of your life. Obviously, financially, emotionally, it's kind of depressing, psychologically, physically. Maybe you were in a job where you were really active and really, physical, delivering something or what have you, and you were very active, and now you're at home in front of your laptop much of the day. It can affect you physically, which overall can be unhealthy for you. So what we want you to do is to write up a schedule, keep yourself on schedule, keep good records of what you're doing, start a budget, obviously, if you haven't done that already, because things can be changing. And with the heating costs for your house, you may have to budget in a little bit more to the local utility company. But it also affects your self-esteem because when we go to meet someone, oftentimes they say, hi, where are you working? And if you say, well, I'm not working right now, that isn't always real uplifting. It's also part of your identity, the fact that you can proudly say where you work. We need to work on how can you answer that question differently. It affects your family life, obviously. Now everyone is at home. Moms, dads, kids, everybody's doing schoolwork, doing work from home. That can add, an awful lot to your stressful life because now everybody's kind of on top of each other at the house and sharing bandwidth and all those things. So they do say that job loss is one of the more stressful events in your life. So it's right up there with divorce or separation, loss of a loved one. But we also have to remember that our job, our career, whatever we were doing, is not the full representation of who you are, right? You're more than that. That was your 8 hours a day during the day job. You're a mom, you're a dad, you're a grandma, you're a grandpa, all those different things. So don't ever forget about all of those other things that you are. And, job loss is difficult. The transition from employed to unemployed is difficult, but keep your mind open to this. Maybe a really great opportunity for you to get into something new, get into something stable, get into something that maybe has better hours for you or whatever. So keep your mind open that this could be a great opportunity for change. And trust me, everyone has an opinion on their job search. Some will say that, well, when I lost my job, it only took me 3 weeks to get a new one. What's taking you so long? Well, it's a different world right now, maybe. COVID has changed so many things. And everyone has an opinion, but just make sure that you think about what works for you. And maybe, listening to some, maybe sort of setting on the back burner some of those other theories that people have. Maybe some people tell you employers don't ever read cover letters, don't even bother writing one. Okay, that's their opinion, that's fine. But if an employer asks for a cover letter or you want to write a cover letter, do so. If they say send a resume only, then of course you wouldn't because you're not following directions. But, to decide for yourself. Or if someone tells you thank you notes are a waste of time. And maybe that's the one thing that employers love to see. And if that's the one thing that puts you over the edge of that, that other applicant, bonus, that's great. And it's easy to write a thank you note. It's easy to write a thank you letter. Just thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed, our conversation, whatever it is. But thank you notes are worth gold. They can be really great. And some people have strong opinions about LinkedIn, that it does or doesn't work. So whatever works for you, be sure that you just do what's comfortable for you in your job search. And again, contact your local career force location if you wonder, should I do this or should I not do that? And maybe now is a good time to take a bit of an inventory of what's changed since you lost your job. Maybe good things have happened, maybe now you love being at home with the whole family, so that's really great. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you excited? Maybe you're really scared about what's coming forward. So think about those things. How do you feel about it? And take assessment of this. What was lost? What are the opportunities maybe that have come about because of this? So think about all those different things. It's all part of your planning going forward, if you will. But don't ever think that you're not going to be on an emotional roller coaster, sort of like this guy on the screen. First of all, the news sinks in. You know what? We got to let you go. Sales are down. We can't afford to keep any longer. Well, that'll send you right down the tubes, unless, of course, you didn't like that job and you're looking forward to something else. But you're going to have these ups and downs. You're going to have that, relief. Finally, okay, finally I can get over this and I can start my job search. That's great. Then maybe you have a little bit of self-doubt, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to go to 2 years of school when my unemployment ends in a few weeks, things like that. You have to sort of figure all these things out. Leads that don't pan out, but then you're going to take some action and you're going to go to a job club or you're going to go meet a bunch of new people in an industry you want to get into. So that's really exciting. Don't think that this isn't normal. This is perfectly normal, absolutely normal. And keeping track of your attitude when you go through all of these things, so that maybe when you're down in that sadness area there, maybe you don't want to do any networking that day. Maybe just give yourself the time to get over that so that you are able to move on. So maybe put in the chat box, I think this is really interesting, put in the chat box maybe where you are on the emotional roller coaster. And I know probably some of you are new to job searching. Some haven't had to look for a job for years, so this can be very crazy for some people. And we help people write resumes, and they said, well, I've only had one job in the last 35 years. How do I do that? How do I write that resume? Yeah, it's taken a little bit longer than normal. Now, while you're doing that, what I forgot to do is to introduce my cohort in this whole event. and we can tell a little bit of story about ourselves. So my story is that during the middle of the 2009 downturn, I left a really good job, good pay, good benefits, to go start up a travel agency. I'd been in the travel business but wanted to make a change. So I did that in like November of 2009, and I lost my job in December of 2009. So I'd left a good job, suddenly unemployed. I didn't know what to do. I finally connected with somebody we were called the Workforce Center back then, and I walked through the door at the right time. They were looking for a dislocated worker counselor, and I was hired relatively quickly. So just taking that step of not being afraid to ask for help and going to the local workforce center, it's not going to happen that quick for everyone, but it really makes a difference to be open and honest and doing your search and reaching out to people that you know. So that worked out great for me, and that's been, 11 years ago now. So great opportunities are out there for you. You just have to be sure that you cross the right thresholds and make those right connections. So I will be quiet, and maybe Sheila, if you want to hop on and say hi.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheila, appearing as Art. Someday I'll figure out how to fix that. I'm up in International Falls, where it has been below zero for 9 straight days. So today it's above zero. Well, it's supposed to get above zero, so hopefully we'll have a warming trend. I have worked in this position for almost 30 years now, and I have a background in education and business management. So the two together have worked well with helping career seekers and businesses, connect with each other. And as you can see, I'm monitoring the chat as Art, and it looks like everyone figured out how to send messages to everyone. So if you want all participants to see them, otherwise, if you want to send something privately, you can send it to all panelists, and I will respond to that. And just a reminder that we are going to send out the slide deck of all the presentation notes and materials, so you don't have to try to write everything down today. And then the recorded version will also be online, and we'll send you a link to that. So keep your comments coming. Everything is looking good on there. Lots of feedback from people and helping each other out, so that's great. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you, Sheila. Sorry I didn't do that earlier when we were doing the other introductions with folks, but I wanted to be sure you knew that there was somebody else on the line, and it's not Art, it's my coworker, Sheila. So anyway, we will keep moving on. So if you're on the emotional roller coaster someplace and you recognize feelings that you have that you need to figure out, how do I do this? Events like this are great. Meeting up with other people. As you can see in the chat, there's lots of connections. There's a lot of people that maybe feel the same way you do, right? There's a lot of people that are having a hard time getting out there. A lot of people frustrated, self-doubt, those sorts of things. But recognize your feelings. Give yourself credit for that. I mean, we are not robots. We're people, and we have feelings. So some things change, and thank goodness some things stay the same. Like I said before, you're still a grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, those sorts of things. But there's lots of feelings that come around with this whole thing. So to find a safe outlet, if you will, whether that's friends, Zooming with friends or family, maybe former coworkers, maybe not the crabby former coworkers, the more upbeat former coworkers, so that you don't bring yourself down together. That's not good for anybody. But just to find out, a safe outlet. Maybe it's just journaling. Maybe it's just writing down every day how you feel today, those sorts of things, so that you can keep track of it. And then you need to forgive. You need to forgive your former boss. This is nothing personal, chances are. It's a business decision because of this darn pandemic that we're in the middle of, for the most part. Forgive your boss, forgive coronavirus. We just have to find a way to move on, okay? Because if you continue to carry that anger and that those feelings of that you're upset and you can't forgive yet, Next time you walk into an interview, they're going to see that. So you want to be sure that you figure out a way to forgive and move on. Now, whether that's writing an angry, scathing letter to coronavirus, to that former boss, telling them exactly how you feel. Don't hold back. Let it out. Write it down. Scream it into a pillow, whatever it is. Of course, you would never tell them that. Never tell your former employer that. Burn the letter, chew it up, and spit it out, whatever you need to do. But get it off your chest. Get it out of your mind. It's still going to be there nagging you, but if you can sort of let go of some of it, you're going to feel a lot better, and you're going to interview a lot better. So just accept this as a change, not one that you asked for. But a positive attitude is a lot easier to deal with than a negative attitude. I think it's a lot easier. And again, it's a choice you can make every day. And positive people attract other positive people. So if you go into something negative, you're going to attract negativity, and that's just not going to be good for everyone. So be aware of where you're reaching out and who you're reaching out to. Somebody needs to write a couple of angry letters. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. Burn them, drive them over, freeze them in the freezer. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But finding ways to stay positive because you want to feel stronger every day. You want to feel energized, and you want to feel positive. It's a lot easier than feeling meek, demoralized, and negative. So it's all about your attitude, okay? There's great ways to stay positive. Like I've mentioned, talking to others is great. Getting onto a job club, getting onto something local would be great so you can make those real local connections. So keep an eye on that. And you can find that information on careerforcemn.com under the virtual and interactive services. There is a link somewhere that says look for local listings of things going on. Exercising is good for you. Obviously, be careful in the ice and the snow and all those sorts of things, but exercising is good. If it really has affected you so hard that you can't maybe pull yourself through, maybe you need to sign up for some counseling through your local healthcare office. Positive self-talk and affirmations. Now, anybody remember Stuart Smalley? See, this always comes up in the chat boxes. Yes. Yes. See, yeah, we all remember this. Now we all know how old we all are. But anyway, it was hilarious. And it was Al Franken, yep. And he used to do the Stuart Smalley thing where he would say, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you. Affirmation to Michael Jordan. Yeah, that was great. Look it up. It's hilarious. Laughter will get you a long way through this process, but it was hilarious. But do some positive self-talk in the morning. You know, tell yourself that this whole thing is not your fault, okay? You're going to find a better job. You're going to find a better career. You're capable of meeting this challenge. You're a good person, and good things are going to happen to you. Tell yourself that every day. It's really easy to get into negative self-talk, like you're never going to find another job. You can't go to school. You can't handle all this, all those sorts of things. It's easy to get caught up in that, but wipe that out of your mind and tell yourself positive things, okay? You are a good person. You didn't ask for this, okay? And we're going to get through it. There is an end in sight, sort of, somewhere down the line. So this is not a forever thing. So think about what can I do to stay positive. Volunteering is great. You know, there's where you can volunteer now, I'm not exactly sure, but maybe packing food boxes for folks that need it, if you can volunteer. And you don't know who you're going to be standing next to when you're volunteering. It might be the head of the human resources for the local hospital, and that's exactly where you want to work. So you never know. It's going to feel good. You're going to help others, help yourself, stay positive, and that's really key right now. So maybe type into the chat box. I'm keeping your fingers really busy here today. Maybe one-word answers on what are you doing to stay positive, to stay overcoming this loss of your job loss. Tell us one thing that you can do. Maybe this will be a great suggestion for someone else. Yeah, those Coursera courses are great. Prayer is awesome. When I was kind of going through this stuff, I had talked to my pastor at church, and when I would start feeling kind of crabby and down on myself, I'd think, what would Robin say right about now? And it would always make me feel better. Yep, there's a plan for us. Reading nonfiction books, good. Meditation, yeah, constant activity. Get away from the computer now and again. And don't forget, you make a schedule in time to play. Don't forget about playing, okay? That's what helps keep us healthy. Journaling, humor, getting plenty of sleep, maintaining that structure is great, keeps you on track. So the game plan. Assessing yourself is really great. So you can figure out where are you today, what might be a good step going forward. And you can go on to careerforcemn.com and do some skills assessments, some interest assessments. There's a career readiness assessment you can do on there. Log into the account, so make sure you set up an account on careerforcemn.com so that it will store all of this information for you. So if you take an interest assessment now, and it tells you maybe your top 10 job opportunities or best matches or something like that. And you go back and do it again in a few months. Now that you've taken some classes, you've taken some Excel courses and some Word, do that again, your interest and skills assessments, and it might come up with a new list of ideas for you. So I encourage you to stay on top of careerforcemn.com. Go watch the previous webinars. There's a whole host of things you can access through careerforcemn.com. But there's other websites you can go to. myskillsmyfuture.org is great. You can put in a previous job title, medical secretary, and it will come up with maybe other sorts of opportunities that using the same skill set, maybe you could be, go and do something else. And so it will give you some other ideas of things that maybe you want to look at, check into. Career-wise, at minnesotastate.edu is all career information within the state. mn.gov/deed/jobstat is a state site that you can go on to look. It's another state site just with Minnesota information on it. CareerOneStop.org, I believe, is a national site, as is onetonline.org, but you can drill down into state information. So do your homework and see what other opportunities are out there. What else might be a good fit for me? Don't limit yourself to just what you've done before. There are many things that you could do that might match those same interests and skill sets. So do your homework. Let us help you if we can with classes or with training or, on-the-job training opportunities. So stay in touch with your local career force. And maybe you just need to find some skills gaps. Maybe going from medical secretary to medical lab tech, maybe you just need a bit of training, maybe 6 months training to get you from one to the other, or CNA to medical lab tech or something like that. If you want to see that, fill out what are those skills gaps? What's the next thing I need to do to get into that next opportunity? And you know what? Make the move or don't make the move. It's totally up to you. But do your research. Find out what's on the upslope rather than things that are decreasing in opportunities. Going forward, you want to kind of figure out what's going to be down the road for me in this industry, in this occupation, okay? Some occupations are not going to be the same as they were before pandemic. So this is the screen for the online tools. Now this may have changed a little bit. I'll have to double check. But it says take that employment readiness assessment I talked about, take the interest assessment, skills assessment, the list of jobs high in demand during COVID-19, which is really interesting to see that. And then, lots of job searching, viewing the jobs in demand, all those things. So check out that website, looking at the workshops available statewide and in your area. Here's My Skills, My Future. This is what this looks like. And again, you don't have to write down all these websites. We'll be sending out the information afterwards. But this is where you would enter in a current or past job and find career matches. So I think that's really interesting to do that. It may come up with things that you never thought of before because we're only thinking about these things. But if you've had a job for more than 10 years or so, you kind of maybe think that's all you can do, but just broaden that scope a bit more and see what else is out there. Here's the Job Skills Transfer Assessment Tool, kind of the same thing. I think I used the word business and financial occupations, and it comes up with this whole list of, I don't know if you can see my arrow or not, accountants, appraisers, assessors. Those all fall under those financial operations occupations. So it's another way to dive in a little bit deeper on different occupations that you maybe didn't think about before. So here we're going to go, and we've done our research. We kind of think we know what we want to do. Now we're going to start really preparing for the job hunt and just understanding some of the things that we need to do. Sheila's going to talk to us about SMART goals in a moment. We're going to talk about researching, what and where and what to research before you go in to apply for a position. And then to identify some other tools that might help you through. So first of all, getting organized. And I think we're going to send out to you a networking log, and we're going to send you out some other materials that you can use with goal setting things, personal data records, some of those other things. But like I've already mentioned, managing your schedule. So manage your job search activities with your human being activities so that you don't totally burn yourself out on the job search. Again, setting those SMART goals that Sheila is going to walk us through in a moment. Keeping good records is really going to be helpful to you because you want to be organized. You want to be ready. We don't know how long it's going to take for an employer to call you back after you've submitted your application. So you want to be ready when they do call and they say, we want to have a phone interview with you tomorrow. You can go find the exact resume you sent them. You can find the exact cover letter you sent, your application, whatever it is that you need to have a SMART conversation with that employer when they call you. So just figuring out whatever system works for you. Recipe cards in a little file folder, an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, whatever format works for you. Maybe just printing out on regular paper in a 3-ring binder would help you. Whatever it is that works for you, just start right away so that you have it all ready to go. Keeping a record of all of your contacts so that you know exactly who you talked to, when you talked to them, what you talked about, and how did the conversation end. Did it end with, I'll call you, or are you going to call me? What's the date that this is going to happen? All that sort of thing. Keep track of it.
Oh, okay, I'll come back on then.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to give you an example of what a SMART goal is so you know how to use them if you're going to try to use it with your job search. And really, SMART goals are a way to help you balance your job search, keep you on track, and make yourself accountable for what you want to accomplish during your job search. So first of all, you want your goal to be specific. What exactly is it that you want to do? So in our example, we are going to prepare a resume. That is going to be our goal. So you want to make sure that you keep your goal realistic, something you can accomplish, in a short period of time. And so how are you going to know that you're on track to complete your goal? So you want to make something measurable. So in order to complete our resume, maybe we are going to set some mini deadlines, like presenting a rough draft to a career counselor in 10 days. This will give you a timeline so you know you have to have a rough draft together in 10 days. Maybe you're also going to tell your friend about your goal, so they'll check up on you in 10 days to make sure it's done. And then achievable. So what resources are you going to use to help you get your resume together? Good one is the resume workshop that we offer through CareerForce. We have online resume reviews that you can sign up for through a local CareerForce location. Those skills assessments that Rhonda talked about, those are a great way to get some skills that you can show an employer that you have by putting them on your resume and giving some examples. And a couple things I found really useful are job descriptions, if you have the job description from your past jobs, and if you have any, recent performance reviews. Those often tell you what your accomplishments were on the job and how other people saw your performance, and those are good things to highlight on your resume. And then relevant. Why is this goal important to your job search? Most employers ask for resumes now, and in the world we're living in virtually, a lot of resumes have to be uploaded to online applications or emailed. So you want to make sure you have a document that's ready to go and is compatible with online applications. And then once you have a well-written resume together, it's easy just to update it and target it towards specific jobs. And I see in the chat a lot of people are thinking of career changes, so you're probably going to have more than one resume. You'll want to make sure you target your resume to that other career that you're seeking. And if you need help with that, please contact someone at CareerForce so they can help you pick out those transferable skills and get another resume together. And then timely, when are you going to complete this goal? You probably want to use a specific date. So in this instance, you could say, 2 days after you met with that career counselor, you're going to incorporate their feedback if you liked it, and then maybe have your friend check up on you and make sure that that resume is done and ready to go. And remember that you really can work on more than one SMART goal at a time. Just make sure that they are manageable so you can keep up with them. And you'll want to make sure you prioritize goals, based on what you need to do today to get back to work as soon as possible. And in the follow-up materials, we will send you a SMART goal worksheet. So it'll kind of give you a guide how to go through these and set your own goals. Okay, Rhonda, thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. I hope everyone can hear me now. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Yes, good. Okay, thank you, everyone. So now what you've done, you haven't even looked for a job yet, right? You've just gotten ready to go. So you've done your interest and skills assessments. You've gotten your SMART goals set up. Now you want to go and research some of those companies, some of those industries that you have, that you're thinking about getting into, okay? Whoop. There we go. So you need to research the companies. I cannot stress researching enough. What are their products and services? Do you believe in what they make and produce? Because that's really big. That'll help you with your interest in the company. What's the company size? Is it a huge company? Is it a small family-owned business? What's their history? Where are they located? Those sorts of things. Do you want to be, and a lot of you are in the Twin Cities, and I grew up down there. I only moved to Duluth about 20 years ago, so I know that traffic down there. Do you want to be going from Wayzata to St. Paul for work every day? Maybe, maybe not. But think about those sorts of things. And there may be remote opportunities, coming up as well. But when maybe things get back to normal and they bring you back to the office, do you want to spend that much time in the car? What's their financial situation? Is there potential for growth within the company, or are you gonna get in there and just do the same job forever and ever? Is there growth opportunities? What's their mission statement and their philosophy? I worked for a company in the Twin Cities, and I won't mention names, but the company philosophy was that you work 40 hours during the week to stay on par with the competition. You work all weekend to get ahead. Is that the kind of company you want to work for? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. What are the recent changes and initiatives? Again, maybe working from home is one of the changes they've made. Maybe they've decided they're just as productive working from home. Well, that's great. What are their initiatives? What are their human resource policies? And maybe what I mean by that are there flex schedule opportunities? Can you work 4 10-hour days in the summer and have a day off during the week? Things like that. What are the human resource policies? Labor market information, again, is this a job that's on the increase? It's going to be here for another 10, 20, 50 years, those sorts of things. And obviously this isn't a hobby for most of us. What is salary and benefits? Is it going to be a sustaining wage for you going ahead, or will you need to supplement, or what can I do to get to that higher pay increase? If there's potential growth, maybe you do start here. If there's potential for growth, down the road a ways. So all that kind of thing you have to think about when you research the company. And thinking about things like, how can I help the company make money? How can I help them save money or save time, make their work easier, all those sorts of things. So if you know their business, you know their industry, you can maybe come in with some of that knowledge beforehand. So where can you do your research? Most companies have websites that you can go to and read press releases. You can read their, about their products and services and maybe who their customers are, things like that. Often the libraries, if they're open, they have a reference section that you can go in and look up maybe smaller companies, maybe small manufacturing operations. They don't have a big website, but maybe the librarians can help you out. And if you do have a library card, there's lots of resources on your local library website as well. And there's one that you can go on to get information about lots of different companies. I don't recall the name of it right now. Reference USA. If you can get onto Reference USA and look at manufacturing companies within a certain area, that might be very helpful for you. Obviously, researching through your connections on LinkedIn, the career information website, some of those ones that we showed you earlier will have good information on researching different companies in different industries. Informational interviews and conversations, I really encourage these if you are, especially if you're trying to make a change from one industry to another. That's a great way to find out, is this really where I want to be? Is this really what I want to do? What's the culture like in this industry or in this occupation? Those sorts of things. And taking the pressure off the person you're talking to, and all you're going to do is ask for 15 minutes of their time. Can I come in and see what this business is all about? Oftentimes employers are happy to do that, even if it's a Zoom meeting. They love talking about their companies. If you call up and say, are you hiring now? Oftentimes you'll get a quick response. But they love talking about their companies. And that's a great way to make a connection, start your networking. Maybe they don't have a place for you, but if this informational interview goes well, maybe they'll mention your name to the guy down the street who knows they're looking for a welder or whatever it is. Obviously, talking to your network, finding out about different occupations, different industries. How do they like working there? Those sorts of things. And obviously, the local career force location. Talk to us about employers. We'll do mock interviewing with you to help you prepare. We don't always hit the nail right on the head. I had a story the other day, and I was helping someone prepare for an interview, and we did all the research. We did everything right that we knew we could, and the employer came through with some real doozy questions that you all should be prepared for, and those are what would you do if? What would you do if this happened? And that's where you're going to have some of those stories and some of those stories in your back pocket of how you handle the situation. So we have to all be prepared for those types of questions. And that's what we can do to help you out. I certainly learned a lesson, and I'm going to throw those zingers out there as well. But if you do the research, you know the type of work that company does and maybe what would happen that you might want to prepare for those questions. If they're providing a service and there was a failure on the service, how would you handle that angry customer when they came in? So knowing what the company is like and what they're all about may help you prepare in that way as well. Now you're going to learn more about this in the upcoming creative job search sessions, but this is just something nice to have in your back pocket when you meet somebody at the grocery store and you know that they work for a company you'd like to connect with. is something to hand to them when you're in the store, when you're out and about. You're not going to probably carry around your nice printed resume. Most people don't do that, but this is something to hand to somebody quick. Hey, give me a call next week. I'm looking for an opportunity in your industry. Oftentimes they'll give you a card as well, so you kind of have permission now to reach out to them during the week. You can put things on the back if you'd like to, related skills. Obviously, don't pigeonhole yourself into one occupation, because you want to remember you're opening up your ring of opportunities. You want to be sure that you let them know that you've got more than one area of expertise. Got to give yourself credit for that. So it's just one thing. You can pick up cards. You can get them from, places online. If you can type in the chat box maybe what you've done, if you've done a networking card and how you've used it, that would be interesting. There's places you can get them locally. You can print them yourself, get card stock at the local Office Max or whatever store is in your area, and you can print them off yourself. So that's your networking card. You're also going to learn about work portfolios coming up in one of the next sessions. Maybe keeping, like Sheila mentioned, those copies of your last performance review that are great, your certifications that you've gotten from classes that you've done, maybe examples of your welding skills. Maybe you've done some really creative work that you really like to show off. Yes, Vistaprint, that's the one I was going to try and remember. I'll have to write that down. But having a portfolio is kind of nice. Obviously, you don't go back to everything that you've done since first grade. It's only things that apply to that job that you're applying for, so that thing can get pared down and changed with every interview that you go on. But it's nice to have something to bring to an interview with you. And talking about references, so now you've done your skills and interest assessments, you've done your research, you know who you want to talk to, you go apply for the job, now you're waiting, you get a phone call interview. They may ask for references pretty soon, okay? And so you're going to want to choose them wisely. Who can say good things about you and say them well? People that can speak objectively about maybe even a project that you worked on with them and it was a huge success. If that's what you think is going to help you in that interview, that's great. Sort of prep them on what you might think that the employer might want to hear about, something that you did. Maybe avoiding some of those references that are controversial, maybe not the NRA, National Rifle Association, for most places. But if you're applying for a job up at Gander Outdoor in the gun department, obviously they're a great reference. So just make sure that you think about who you're using for your references and who might be sitting across the table receiving those references. Typically they're professional references, coworkers, previous employers, maybe instructors, those sorts of people that you can choose. Yeah, even clients from your previous employer or vendors that you worked with from when you were working. Those sorts of folks as well could be really great references for you. Obviously, ask for permission. Let them know that you're going to be using them. Don't ever just give them out and not tell the person, because there's nothing more awkward than answering a phone call from someone. You don't know who's calling you with all these phone calls that are coming in these days. You want to be sure that they know who might be calling, so that when they call and say, Sue Smith gave us your name to talk about previous employment, you want your references to be prepared. You don't want them to be surprised, okay? So be sure you let them know. Find out what phone number is the best to reach them at. If some are in Arizona and all you've done is given them the phone number for their landline in Duluth, Minnesota, they're not going to connect. They have to be able to connect if they're actually going to call them. Make sure you get their current information and let them know when you're going to use them. And you don't have to use the same references all the time. You may want to use different references for different occupations you're applying for, different fields you're applying for, okay? So be sure that you let whoever you're using, let them know that you're doing that. Yes, coworkers, people you worked alongside, but they know exactly what kind of worker you are. They know that they can you know that they can say good things about you. And always thank them. Always, always thank your references. If talking to them, the employer talking to them is what helps you get the job, that's great. Even if you don't get the job, thank them for their time, because this is, you know, they have more things to do than just be your reference. So be sure that you thank them. So we're coming right up. Oh, go ahead.
You want to take one question about references, Rhonda?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So we have a comment here. My former boss has offered to be my best reference, but I worry he will oversell me. That's what he's done with the company. Any tips for how to overcome that? Also, he only wants to talk on the phone versus a written reference.
You know, I would suggest just preparing that employer with saying, this is what I really want you to talk about, and sort of limiting it maybe to that. I mean, it would be, I mean, a nice pat on the back if they were to oversell you, which is great. But make sure that they know that, give them the job postings, the job that you're applying for, so if they know what you want to go into, what you want to do going forward. So that, and just be sure that you know, see if they can stick to a script and just talk about that job and how you would be great for that particular job. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And you certainly can ask your reference what they're going to say about you, you know, before you decide to use them as a reference, and then give them ideas. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, but just tell them you want to keep them sort of on track, because they may only have a couple minutes, and you want to be sure that you that they get into the strong selling points, the appropriate selling points early on in the conversation. Okay. And for in that situation, they may only be able to use a personal cell phone, you know, things like that. So be sure you have the correct information. If they would do a written one, that would be great. You know, because then you can use it over and over again. But, yeah, I would just make sure that you prepare them. So in review from today, these are the things. This is your homework. So recover from the job loss. Get over it however you can. Talk to people however you can. You're facing different challenges every single day, and make sure that you can get through that. With everything going on in the world, we have to just try to keep a positive attitude and get through everything. Developing that game plan that we talked about, gathering up all those tools that you need. You know, make sure that in your workspace at home, you've got your computer, you've got your book of everyone you've spoken to and your conversations and your job postings. Because remember, it may take a month or two before an employer calls you for an interview. You want to be sure you have that job posting handy. Set up your SMART goals that Sheila talked about. Do your research, and then just gathering up those other things that you need to be sure that you have everything you need when it comes time for that interview. Be sure that you go to careerforcemn.com and watch some of the previously recorded webinars as well. Early on in this virtual world, there was a Catherine Briers-Breach, I believe her name was, did some workshops for us, and the very first one is on virtual job interviewing, so that might be a really great one for you to watch. It's been recorded, so take a look at that. With that, I think it is 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on the nose. I thank you all for coming. If we didn't respond to answer your question, we're going to leave the chat open for a few minutes so that you can throw another question at us, and we'll get back to you offline if that's all right. Thank you for coming. Stay warm, and take care.